The deeds of corporal and spiritual mercy. This was recorded on the 8th of September, 1945. Jesus is in the Chorazin plain along the upper Jordan Valley, between the lakes of Gennesaret and Baram. The country is covered with vineyards, and it is already vintage time. He must have been there for some days, because the disciples who were at Sycaminon have joined him this morning, and among them there is Stephen with Hermas. Isaac apologizes for not coming earlier, because, he says, the new disciples and his uncertainty whether he should bring them or not caused the delay. But, he says, I thought that the way to heaven is opened to all those of good will, and these two, although they are pupils of Gamaliel, seem to be so. You are right, and you have done the right thing. Bring them here. Isaac goes away and comes back with the two disciples. Peace to you. Has the apostolic word seemed so true to you that you have decided to join it? Yes, and yours above all. Do not send us away, Master. Why should I? Because we are disciples of Gamaliel. So what? I honor the great Gamaliel, and I would like him to be with me, because he is worthy of it. That is all he lacks to make his wisdom perfect. What did he say to you when you left him? Because you certainly said goodbye to him. Yes, he said to us, you are lucky that you can believe. Pray that I may forget, in order to remember. The apostles who have gathered round Jesus inquisitively look at one another and ask, whispering, what does he mean? What does he want? To forget in order to remember. Jesus hears their whispering and explains. He wants to forget his wisdom to take on mine. He wants to forget that he is Rabbi Gamaliel, to remember that he is a son of Israel, awaiting the Christ. He wants to forget himself, to remember the truth. Gamaliel is not untruthful, Master, replies Hermas apologetically. No, he is not. But it is the medley of poor human words which is untruthful. Words taking the place of the word. You must forget them, divesting yourselves of them, and come to the truth, as pure as virgins, in order to be reclothed and fecundated. Humility is required for that. The difficulty, then we must forget as well? Undoubtedly, you must forget everything pertaining to man, and remember what pertains to God. Come, you can do it. We want to do it, confirms Hermas. Have you already lived as disciples? Yes, we have, since the days we heard the Baptist had been killed. News spread very rapidly in Jerusalem, where it was brought by Herod's courtiers and commanders. His death aroused us from our torpidity, replies Stephen. The blood of martyrs is always a new life for torpid people, Stephen. Remember that. Yes, Master. Will you speak today? I hunger for your word. I have already spoken, but I will speak again, and very much to you disciples. Your companions, the apostles, have already begun their missions after due preparation, but they are not sufficient for the needs of the world, and everything is to be done in good time. I am like one who has an expiry date, and must do everything within that date. I ask you all to help me, and in the name of God, I promise you help and a glorious future. Jesus' keen eye discovers a man completely enveloped in a linen mantle. Are you not John, the priest? Yes, Master. The hearts of the Jews are more arid than cursed large valleys. I ran away looking for you. And your priesthood? Leprosy expelled me from it the first time, men the second time, because I love you. Your grace draws me to itself, to you. It expels me as well from a desecrated place to a pure one. You have purified me, Master, both in my body and in my soul. And what is pure cannot and must not approach what is impure. It would be an offense to him who purified. Your judgment is severe, but not unfair. Master, unpleasant family matters are known to those who live in the family and should be mentioned only to righteous-minded people. You are so, and in any case, you know. I would not tell anybody else. Here we are, you, the apostles, I, and two who know as well as you, and I do. So? All right. But, oh, you are here too? Peace be with you. Have you come to hand out more food? No, I came to have some of your food. Have your crops been spoiled? Oh, no, they have never been so plentiful. But my master, I am looking for another bread and a different crop, yours. And I brought with me the leper woman whom you cured in my fields. He came back to his master. Both he and I have a master to follow. And I brought with me the leper whom you cured in my fields. He came back to his master. Both he and I have a master to follow and serve. You. Come, 1, 2, 3, 4. A good harvest. But have you taken into consideration your position at the temple? You know, and I know, and I will say no more. I am a free man, and I go with whomever I wish, says John the priest. So am I, says the last arrival. John the scribe, who dealt out the food at the foot of the Mount of Beatitudes on the Sabbath. And we are free too, state Hermas and Stephen. And Stephen adds, Speak to us, Lord. We do not know what our mission exactly consists in. Give us the least necessary to enable us to serve you at once. The rest will come as we follow you. Yes, on the mountain you spoke of the Beatitudes, and that was a lesson for us. But what are we to do with regard to other people? In our second love, the love for our neighbor, asks John the scribe. Where is John of Endor? Is Jesus' only answer. He is over there, Master, with the people who have been cured. Let him come here. John of Endor goes at once. Jesus lays his hand on John's shoulder as a special greeting and says, Here you are. I will now speak, but I want you, who bear a holy name, to be in front of me. You, my apostle. You, a priest. You, a scribe. You, John of the Baptist. And finally, you, to complete the sequence of graces granted by God. And if you are the last one to be mentioned by me, you know that you are not the last one in my heart. One day I promised you this speech. You will now have it. And Jesus, as he is wont, climbs a little mound so that everybody may see him. And the 5 Johns are in the first row, in front of him. Behind them there is a group of disciples mingled with the crowd who have come from every part of Palestine, seeking health or doctrine. May peace be with you all, and wisdom upon you. Listen, one day a long time ago a man asked me whether and to what extent is God merciful towards sinners. It was a sinner who asked that question, and although he had been forgiven, he could not believe that God had forgiven him completely. And I soothed his anxiety by means of parables. I assured and promised him that for his sake I would always speak of mercy, so that his repentant heart, which wept within him like a lost child, should feel sure of being already in the possession of his Father in heaven. God is mercy because God is love. A servant of God must be merciful to imitate God. God makes use of mercy to attract to himself his children, led astray. A servant of God must make use of mercy as a means of taking misguided men back to God. The precept of love is compulsory for everybody, but it must be 3 times so in the servants of God. No one will conquer heaven if one does not love. That is all that is necessary to say to believers. But to the servants of God I say, you cannot make believers conquer heaven if you do not love them with perfect love. And who are you who are crowding here around me? Most of you are children of God, aiming at perfect life, at the blessed, hard, bright life of the servant of God and minister of the Christ. And which are your duties in such lives of servants and ministers? Complete love for God and complete love for your neighbor. Your aim is to serve. How? Taking back to God those whom the world, flesh, the demon, have stolen from God. By which means? By love. Love which can be active in 1,000 ways and has but one purpose, to make people love. Let us consider our beautiful Jordan. How imposing it is at Jericho. But was it like that at its sources? No, it was just a trickle of water, and would have remained such if it had always been alone. Instead, from the mountains and hills on both sides of its valleys, thousands of tributaries, either alone or made up by many rivulets, flow into its bed, and it grows more and more from the little silvery blue stream so pleasant and joyful in its infancy, until it becomes a large, solemn, placid river, flowing like a sky-blue ribbon between its fertile emerald banks. Such is love. It is initially a tiny stream among the infants on the way of life, who can just avoid grave sins for fear of punishment. But subsequently, as they proceed on the way to perfection, many brooks of this main virtue, by will of love, appear from the rugged, arid, proud, harsh mountains of mankind, and everything helps to make it rise and gush out. Sorrows and joy, just as upon the mountains, the frozen snow and the sun melting it. From rivers, everything helps to open the way for them. Humility as well as repentance. Everything serves to convey them to the initial river, because a soul, thrust onto that way, loves to have its ego destroyed, and aspires to rise again, drawn by the sun god, after becoming a beautiful, mighty, beneficial river. The brooks that nourish the embryonic stream of awesome love are, besides virtues, the deeds that virtues teach men to accomplish. Deeds which, being streams of love, are deeds of mercy. Let us consider them together. Some were already known to Israel. Some will be made known to you by me, because my law is the perfection of love. To feed the hungry. It is the duty of gratitude and love, and a duty of imitation. Children are grateful to their father for the bread he procures for them, and when they are grown into men, they imitate him by procuring with their work bread for their own sons, and for their father, by now unable to work, because of his age, an affectionate, fair return of the good received. The fourth commandment states, Honor your father and mother. One honors their old age by ensuring they do not have to beg for bread of others. But the first commandment comes before the fourth. Love God with your whole being. And the second, love your neighbor as you love yourself. To love God in himself and to love him in one's neighbor is to be perfect. One loves him by giving bread to those who are hungry, remembering how many times he appeased man's hunger through miracles. But without taking into account the gifts of manna and quails, let us consider the continuous miracle of corn, which germinates through the bounty of God, who gave men lands suitable to be cultivated, and he adjusts and controls winds, rain, heat, seasons, so that the seed may become an ear of wheat, and the wheat bread. And was it not a miracle of his mercy, the fact that by supernatural light he taught his guilty child that the tall, slender grass, ending in golden ears of seed, smelling of the warm sun, enclosed in a hard cover of thorny scales, was food, which man had to pick, hull, pulverize, knead, and bake? God taught man all that, and he taught him how to pick it, husk it, pound it, knead, and bake it. He placed stones near the ears and water near the stone, and by means of the reflection of water and sun, he lit the first fire on the earth. And the wind blew onto the fire some grains of wheat, which were roasted, smelling pleasantly, so that man might understand that wheat is better when toasted by fire than as it is in the ear, as birds eat it, or soaked in water, after being pulverized as a sticky mash. Now that you eat the good bread baked in the family oven, do you not consider how much mercy is shown by the achievement of so much perfection in baking, and how much progress human knowledge has made from the first ear chewed as horses do to the bread of today? And by whom? By the giver of bread. And the same applies to all kinds of food, which man, through beneficent enlightenment, has been able to single out among the plants and animals which the Creator spread over the earth, a place of fatherly punishment for his guilty child. Thus, to give something to eat to the hungry is a prayer of gratitude to the Lord and Father, who satisfies our hunger, and it is imitating the Father, whose likeness was gratuitously granted to us, and which we must continuously increase by imitating his action. To give drink to the thirsty. Have you ever thought what would happen if the Father did not let rain fall on the earth? And if he said, Because of your harsh unkindness towards the thirsty, I will stop clouds from descending upon the earth. Could we protest and curse? Water more than wheat belongs to God, because wheat is cultivated by man, but only God cultivates the fields of clouds, which descend as rain or dew, fog or snow, nourishing fields and cisterns, filling rivers and lakes, giving shelter to fish, which appease man's hunger, and with other animals. If someone asks you, Give me a drink, can you say to him, No, this water is mine, and I will not let you have it? Liars! Which of you made a snowflake, or one single drop of rain? Which of you evaporated a dew diamond with his astral heat? No one. It is God who does that. And if water descends from the sky and reascends there, it is only because God controls that part of the creation, as he controls the rest. Give, therefore, the good cool water of the springs of the earth, or the pure water of your well, or the water that filled your cisterns, to those who are thirsty. It is the water of God, and it is for everybody. Give it to the thirsty. For such a small deed, which costs you no money, and involves no work except the handling of a cup or a jug, I tell you that you will receive a reward in heaven, because not the water, but the charitable action is great in the eyes and judgment of God. To clothe the poor. Nude, shameful, pitiful miseries pass along the roads of the earth. Forlorn old people, people disabled by disease or misfortune, lepers coming back to life through the Lord's bounty, widows laden with children, people deprived of every comfort by mishaps, innocent little orphans. If my eyes scan the vast earth, I can see everywhere people who are naked or covered with rags, which hardly protect their decency, but do not shelter them from the cold. And all those poor people look with downcast eyes at the wealthy people who pass by, wearing soft garments and comfortable shoes. Downcast eyes and kindness in good people, downcast eyes and hatred in those who are not so good. Why do you not assist their dejection, making the good ones better by means of your love, and destroying hatred in those who are less good? Do not say, I have only enough for myself, as in the case of bread, There is always something more than what is necessary on the tables and in the wardrobes of people who are not entirely forsaken. Among those who are now listening to me, there is more than one who from a cast-off garment made clothes for an orphan or a poor boy, and out of an old bed-sheet made swaddling bands for an innocent baby who had none. And there is one, a beggar, who for years shared the bread begged for with so much difficulty, with a leper who could not go and beg for it at the doorstep of rich people. And I solemnly tell you that such merciful people are not found among the wealthy, but among the poor, humble classes who know by their own experience how painful is poverty. Here again, as for water and bread, consider that wool and linen with which you dress yourselves come from animals and plants, which the Father created, not only for the rich, but for all men, because God gave man only one wealth, his grace, health, and intelligence, not the filthy wealth which is gold, elevated by you to a useless nobility, whilst as a metal it is not more beautiful than any other, and is much more useless than iron, with which you make spades and plows, harrows and sickles, chisels, hammers, saws, and planes, the holy tools for holy work. And you elevated it to false nobility through the instigation of Satan, who has made you, the children of God, as wild as beasts. God had given you the riches of what is holy to make you more and more holy, not this murderous wealth which sheds so much blood and so many tears. And give as it was given to you, give in the name of the Lord, without being afraid of remaining naked. It would be better to die of cold after stripping yourselves in favor of a beggar, than chill your hearts, even if clad in soft garments, through lack of charity. The warmth of a good action accomplished is more pleasant than the comfort of a mantle of pure wool, and the clad bodies of poor people speak to God, saying, "Bless those who have clothed us." If to satisfy people's hunger and quench their thirst and clothe the poor joins holy temperance and blessed justice to most holy charity, so that the destiny of our unhappy brothers is modified through our holiness, when we give what we abound in, with God's leave, on behalf of those who are deprived of it through the wickedness of man or through diseases, to give hospitality to pilgrims joins charity to confidence and to the esteem of our neighbor, and that is a virtue too, you know, a virtue that denotes honesty besides charity in those who possess it, because he who is honest acts righteously, and as we generally think that other people act as we do, so the confidence and simplicity, believing that the words of other people are true, show that he who listens to them is one who speaks the truth in important and small matters, and does not distrust what other people tell him. Why should one think of the pilgrim who is asking for shelter? And what about if he is a thief or a murderer? Are you so attached to your wealth as to be afraid, because of it, of every stranger who arrives at your house? Are you so attached to your lives as to shudder with horror at the thought of being deprived of them? What, do you think that God cannot defend you from robbers? What, are you afraid that a passerby may be a robber, and you are not afraid of the evil guest who robs you of what cannot be replaced? How many give hospitality to the demon in their hearts? I could say, everybody shelters capital sin, yet nobody fears that. Are wealth and life the only valuable things? Is perhaps eternity not more valuable, since you allow sin to rob you of it and kill it? O poor souls, robbed of their treasure and handed over to killers as if they were trifles, whilst houses are locked and bolted, protecting with dogs and safes things that we cannot take with us when we die. Why should we see a robber in every pilgrim? We are all brothers. Houses should be open to brothers passing by. Is a pilgrim not of our own same blood? Of course he is. He is of the blood of Adam and Eve. Is he not our brother? Why not? The Father is only one. God, who has given each of us an identical soul, as the Father only gives the children of the same marriage the same blood. Is he poor? Ensure that your spirit, deprived of the Lord's friendship, may not be poorer than he is. Are his clothes torn? Ensure that your soul may not be more torn by sin. Are his feet covered with mud or dust? Ensure that your ego may not be more worn by vices than his dirty sandals has been worn by so much walking. Is his appearance unpleasant? Make sure that yours is not more unpleasant in the eyes of God. Does he speak a foreign language? Make sure that the language of your hearts is not incomprehensible in the city of God. You must see a brother in each pilgrim. We are all pilgrims going towards heaven, and we all knock at the doors along the way to heaven. And the doors are the patriarchs, the just, the angels and the archangels, whom we implore to help us and protect us, so that we may reach our goal without becoming exhausted and dropping into the darkness of night, into the rigors of ice-cold weather. The praise of insidious wolves and jackals, of wicked passions and demons, as we want angels and saints to show us their love by giving us shelter and strength to proceed on our way. So let us do likewise to the pilgrims of the earth. And each time we open our homes and our arms, greeting a stranger with the sweet word of brother, and thinking of God, who knows him, I tell you that we will have gone many miles along the way leading to heaven.